Okay, we are about to dive into the secret origin of one of the most iconic sounds in all of music history. Seriously, it's a sound you know by heart, but I can pretty much guarantee you have never heard the real story behind it.
Yep, that one. You hear that, and you just know. Since 1987, that single whisper has been a global trigger, right? It's the sound that instantly transforms any room, anywhere in the world, into a dance floor. It is an absolute, undeniable classic. So for decades, we've all just kind of assumed it was Salt, or maybe Peppa, who laid down that legendary whisper. But the real story? Well, it is so much more surprising. And it actually starts a full decade earlier. So let's pull back the curtain and get into the real story behind that sound. This is a story that might just rewrite a core piece of your music knowledge, for real. Okay, so here's the myth we all believed. The whisper was part of Salt-N-Pepa's recording session in '87. But the reality? Nope. That sound was actually recorded 10 years earlier by a man you've probably never heard of named Pauli Carman for his funk band, Coal Kitchen. So who was this mystery voice? Well, Pauli Carman was a musician in the '70s funk scene with his band, Coal Kitchen. But here's the wild part. He later became the lead singer of the group Champaign. You know, the band famous for that super smooth 1981 ballad, How Bout Us. Just think about that for a second. A smooth ballad singer is the secret voice of a legendary hip-hop anthem. It's crazy. So how did this sound even happen in the first place? Let's go back in time to the exact moment it was actually recorded. Okay, picture it. The year is 1976. Pauli Carman, who was mostly a drummer back then, decides to try his hand at songwriting. He comes up with this track called Keep On Pushin'. A year later, his band Coal Kitchen is in the studio recording it, and just during that session, the iconic whisper gets added, completely on the fly. And that's the incredible part. The whisper wasn't some calculated hook written into the song. It was just a spontaneous gut feeling from Carman to add a little emotion, a little texture to the track. It was just a small detail that nobody in that room could have possibly imagined would have such a massive future. All right, now let's jump forward a full 10 years. That little, forgotten moment of texture is about to be pulled out of obscurity and given a whole new life. This is where producer Herbie Lovebug Azor comes in. He was the mastermind behind Salt-N-Pepa, and he was hunting for a sound that could go head-to-head with all the high-energy, bass-heavy music exploding at the time. So he starts digging through old records, digging in the crates, and he stumbles upon Keep On Pushing. And you gotta understand this. Push It didn't start as some guaranteed hit. It was an experiment. For Herbie, it was like a personal dare to himself. Can I create something edgy enough to stand out in this really competitive scene? But getting that song from a producer's dare to a global anthem, well, it was not a straight line. In fact, the whole thing almost didn't happen at all. Can you even believe that? When Herbie first played the instrumental for Salt-N-Pepa, they hated it. They thought it was corny, way too commercial for their style, and they pretty much wanted nothing to do with it. So here's the play-by-play of how it all came together. You've got Herbie with his dare, his instrumental. Then you have the group, totally doubting the whole thing, but then came the spark. Herbie drops in that sampled whisper from Pauli Carman, and just like that, everything changed. That tiny sound became the track's emotional center, and it transformed a corny idea into the unstoppable hit we all know today. When you step back and look at it, this story is about so much more than just one song. It's really about these hidden threads that connect different artists, different genres, and different decades in ways you would just never expect. I mean, just picture this contrast. On one hand, you have a 1970s funk session deep in Illinois, and on the other, you've got a groundbreaking 1980s hip-hop anthem coming out of New York. Two completely different worlds linked together forever by one single spontaneous sound. And that's really the whole thing, isn't it? A single breath, literally recorded as an afterthought, was buried on a funk track for 10 years, only to be rediscovered and used to define a genre and create this absolutely timeless global hit. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When you're listening to your favorite songs, what other secret stories, what other hidden voices are just waiting there to be discovered, right beneath the surface?